Welcome to the Blackburn Ice Arena, home of the Blackburn Hawks. Tonight's interview, I'm going to sit down with the new head coach of the Blackburn Hawks, number 19, Dan MacKriel. I'll be chatting to Danny about the signings he made over the summer, some of the players that he'd left, how the team got on with the challenge weekend, and we'll look ahead to the opening fixture at Birmingham in a week's time. Right, without further ado, let's get on with it. Danny MacKriel, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good summer?
Yeah, kind of. It's been busy. I haven't really had a great deal of time to myself or with the family, but it's been good. It's been challenging.
It's been a very busy one, Hawks-wise, with players that have left and players that have joined us. Just going to touch on, if you won't go through all of them, because there's quite a lot.
Yeah, sure.
Players that have joined us, over the weekend that we just had, there were two that really stood out for me personally.
Okay.
First one was Max Drakeley.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about Max. Although he's obviously played for Hawks quite a few years ago, he came in and it literally looked like he'd been playing with them for years. He just seemed to click instantly. Is that something you picked on as well?
Yeah, in fairness, I thought everybody across the weekend had great debuts. For the new guys that came in, Max especially. But from when you've played against Max what you're going to get from him. He's a quality D-man. I think he's probably underrated throughout the league. But we knew his strengths, the qualities that he brings to the team as well. So yeah, he had a decent weekend. And the second one, going from D pick forward now, was Lee Pollitt. Yeah.
I thought he had a tremendous weekend. If you haven't seen the video, it's gone up with his empty net
goal.
I
have seen that.
It's not most simple empty net goal. That's quite a good goal he scored there, hasn't it?
I think he's been watching me a little bit.
Did he pick that up off you?
Yeah, I think he must take credit for that.
Give you the credit for that one then. No, like I said, then he's had a very good weekend, picked up a lot of points. He's also stepped up from witness from the Laidler League. You're expecting to carry this on into the season then after that weekend?
Yeah, more so. Yeah, Lee's a quality player. There's no doubt about it. There was no and ahhing over any of the new signings, again including Lee, about who to select and who to ask if they fancy come to play for Blackburn. And so it's not a surprise in that respect that how good of a weekend that he had. And it's interesting now that because obviously at the weekend there were players missing, how he's going to get on with his new line mates as well. So it's exciting and it's good, and it was definitely a pleasing weekend throughout the whole team. And lastly, one, I'm not sure how you're going to answer this, but we'll go with it anyway. Obviously a name people are wondering who this is Corey Stones. What can you tell us, if anything? Corey Stones? Who's
Corey
Stones?
I think he scored a couple of times.
Yeah, Corey's a young lad who throughout the conference set up that I've been coaching in and then started with England last year. Is the name that kept being thrown at us as that selection side, and then when somebody asked if he could come for a skate, I said of course, come, not a problem. Like I said, he's a young man with raw talent. Definitely got an eye for goal, and I don't think there's much out there that phases him, which is brilliant to see at his age. Yeah, we've got a lot of work to do with Corey if he signs, and if he stays, there's still some things to iron out. But what will be, and hopefully if things go to plan, then he could have another game or two with the Hawks, and if things don't go to plan, then he will have a successful future in hockey.
Yeah, he certainly looked like it. You just said it then, and nothing seems to faze him. You looked at my notes before I got it written down. He looked like no pressure was on him at all the weekend.
I don't. He's at that age where he's got nothing to lose really, and and like I was saying, if he does stay, then he's going to cause a bit of a headache in terms of selection, but in a good way. But like I said, it's not a signed seal delivered as yet. It could have been more of a trial aspect over the weekend to see how he fitted in, and we'll see what happens from here on. But he's a determined young man. He's got a good attitude in the respect that he wants to learn and he wants to get better, and that's something that really, as a coach's point of view, is refreshing, really.
Well, fingers crossed we see him again in the Hawks shirt.
We might do.
Might not, we'll see.
You never know.
Departures for the players that are left over Sunday. Again, I won't go through them all. A couple stood out. There was some that we kind of, from the fan base, we kind of understood that we kind of thought they were coming. Rick Hughes, family commitments, and there was Luke with going travelling. But the one that kind of caught me personally by surprise was Craig Rogers.
Yeah.
On the ice, he's kind of an unsung hero, I would say.
Yeah.
Week in, week out, same job, 110%, very little penalty minutes, but never really gets the headlines because he's not on the score sheet, etc. That's a big loss. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. Craig is the type of player who does the little things, but he does them well. But like you said, he won't go out and grab your points, or he doesn't rack up penalty minutes, and he goes about his business on quietly when he was on the ice. And it's not just his aspect from playing as well. He was a really well-liked member of the team. He's been around since I came back, and he's been around before in juniors, and he is a loss. But I think that the people that we've brought in will still make sure that we're competing at the right end of the league, and also still have that core defensive unit which is tough to beat one-on-one, and we're good at solid hockey team from the back. So. Yeah, and looking at the weekend that's just gone, we've had the challenge game, the opening fixtures for the season. How do you rate the performance over the weekend? You happy with what you saw? They weren't bad, yeah. They weren't bad. I mean, considering that we didn't have a full team out and we've only been practicing, like I said, without the full team here and there, touch and go on Thursday nights. I mean, there's a lot of work to do, but on that respect, it wasn't bad. I wouldn't want to give them too much praise anyway, because they might think, oh, that's a job done. But the league as a whole has moved up the level. The bar's been raised. It's not the same league as it was last year. There's no bankers on points, and you look down, we'll get 2 points from every game's going to be an absolute battle, and we need to be ready for these battles. So
going into Saturday's game against Viking, was it a bit going into the unknown of not what to expect, and it's not like you scout the team as such, you know much about them?
A little bit, but I think with a Finnish team that you know what they're going to bring really, in terms of the aspect that they're all going to be good skaters, they're all going to put passes on tape, they're going to be very, very well drilled, they're on the ice 3 or 4 times a week just on training. So we knew that, we knew we'd be up against that, and to combat that we knew that we had to be solid at the back to put in a shift and to make sure that we were coming out the right end really, and I think we did that, and we did that to a high level, and a lot of people have been saying how good the game was from a fan's point of view. I was a little bit nervous, to be fair, at certain points of the game, but no, it was good.
And at the weekend as well, you were the coach rather than the player coach. Obviously you can understand that with it being the beginning of the season, you want to go watch a team. Is that something we might see throughout the season now, or you're not decided yet?
Undecided really at the moment. I think it's quite obvious that a lot of people know that I'm getting on a little bit now, so to speak.
I'm sure I saw a comment on Facebook, no names mentioned, Russell Gin.
I've just turned 28, so...
it's getting a bit tough, isn't it?
But I think from my point of view, if you can develop somebody else at a younger age and help them come through and fine-tune their games, and then they turn into a better player, then that's the main reason then surely. But if there's times that I need to play, then that's not a problem. I'll be ready and more than willing to play and do what I can for the cause really. So. And
another player that stood out the weekend was Stewie Ashton in between the pipes for, especially on Saturday against Viking, the strong Finnish team, had a very solid game.
Yeah.
And also we've got Dangi as well.
Yeah.
So coming into the Bellingham game away, have you got a bit of a tough decision to make?
Massive.
Is that something, a good thing or a bad thing? How's it? Is it a bit of both really?
It's a good decision to have really. I think it's a good problem to have, and the conversation I had with Stewie at the start of the summer, he was open and he was honest in terms of what he wanted, and I was blunt with him back, and I said, listen, you've got to push Dangi every week in practice. When you get your chance in games, you've got to be right on the money to make sure that you start for the next game, and he's grabbed that. I think he proved that on Saturday, how good he can be. Consistency wise, that's what he needs to do now, get consistent running the team, and we take it from there really. But I think the only thing I might not be able to put up with is Dangi maybe sulking on the way home or something like that, but I don't think Dangy understands that
Yeah.
and knows and would be the first to admit that if Stu's playing better and training better, he will come and say Stu can start the weekend.
Well, I spoke to Dangy at the end of last season after Stewie had that big run when Dangy was injured, and Dangy said he relished the fact that Stewie is such upped his game. It gives him real competition. It's something that
it's great to see, and Stu's a very, very good goalkeeper.
No doubt about it.
He's a very good goalkeeper, and he'll be working extremely hard this year to get the number 1 shirt, and I hope he does. So.
After the weekend of hockey that we just had, I know it's only been 2 games, but a lot of fans have been talking after the team he put together that this one could be stronger than last year's. How does that make you feel, obviously being a big part of last year's Invincibles? I know it's early days, I know it's hard.
It is very early days, but I don't think you can really compare or even start talking about it at the moment. Plus also the comparison-wise with the league and everything else, so it's a tough one to say. I mean, people are obviously entitled to their own opinions and on the team and from last year's squad into this year's squad. I mean, all I've done is obviously had a list of players who I knew who weren't returning. I had an idea in my head of where I thought that we needed to strengthen from last year, and I believe that's what we've done. If people want to say that it's a better squad, then that's okay, but if you needed a better squad to play in a better standard of league, then that can be something that's said against it. But I no doubt about it that I'm full of confidence in the players that we've brought in and the existing players that we've managed to retain, and let's see what we can do. Really, it's a exciting time. So
one thing that I think bears a lot of importance on the fans, and it's certainly improving as year, or not improving, but it's becoming more and more of a common theme, is the quality of imports.
Yeah.
Each year, I don't know how it seems to happen, it feels like we always step up a level, and looking at what's happened at the weekend with the 2 players you've signed and played, it certainly looks like again you've stepped up the level. So how is it happening? How is this coming about? I remember listening to Berra's interview a couple of days ago. He talked about it was through an agency in America.
Yeah.
There's someone who said that Blackburn Hawks signing someone from America through an agency a few years ago. You wouldn't really.
It's using your contacts that you've built up throughout playing hockey and even at coaching at juniors and up to Midlands and England. It's using your contacts that you've known throughout for the hockey circle really, but there's also the fact that other coaches will say, have you tried, are you looking for an import, have you tried speaking to so and so, have you tried speaking to another person, and that's how it's done really. There's a lot of networking involved. There's a lot of sleepless nights involved, but we weren't just after good hockey players. We're after people who who would fight for the cause, and who were good in the dressing room, because we're a massive believer of that. And I think that's what we've got really. We've got a good mix of on the ice skills, off the ice as well. So people who want to perform well for this club, which is important to us.
How are you finding the coaching side of things? Has it been more work than you thought? Has it been? I know you said about the sleepless night.
Yeah, it has been. Do you know what? It has been hard work, but it's really enjoyable. But I knew what I was getting myself in for, so
You've seen it first time with Jared, haven't you?
Exactly, and the player coach's point of view, that it's an extremely position to be in. But I wouldn't have said yes to Mark if I didn't think that I was up to it. Or it's what I've wanted for a couple of seasons in terms of having a coaching job at senior hockey. Obviously, Jared doing such a good job last year, and then stepping down. So when asked, then I thought, well, it's a good opportunity now. Obviously, with big boots to fill, but let's see what we can do. So.
Well, the future certainly looks bright from your perspective. And last question, most serious one of the interview: can your beloved Burnley return to the Premier League?
Maybe not this year. Probably next year. If Sean Dyche is listening, then maybe I can give him some recruitment tips. That's not a problem. I'm always available. But they've just signed Joey Barton now to cover centre midfield, so they'll be touch and go this season, but definitely next season. Again,
for them, the future may be looking bright as well. Then,
yeah, definitely.
All good for you at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we'll end that there. Thank you very much, mate.
No, thank you.
Thank have a good start to the opening season. We'll look to catch up with you again in a couple of months.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.